welcome to the Mindset Michele TV Show. I hope wherever you are in the world, it's another beautiful and fabulous day where you are. And whatever is happening in your life, may it be joyous and blessed and full of wonderful, wonderful things for you all. Now, this week I have an extra special guest. So we've actually pre-recorded this interview because he is coming all the way from London to us. I wish I was coming from anywhere, outside of these four walls of lockdown. But my special guest today is actually coming to us from London. So hello, Andrew.
Hi, Michelle. I'm going to say morning because it's morning here, but it's not for you. But whatever time we're running with. But hello, morning, afternoon, evening. Hooray! Time zone of your choice.
Time zone of your choice. And wherever people are in the world, they could be watching this at morning, afternoon, or evening. So just like the Truman Show, to everybody out there, good afternoon, good evening, and good night if I don't see you beforehand. So Andrew is this incredible business coach, but let's start at the beginning. He started his career in insolvency and was working for some of the big guns in KPMG and Barclays. And from that very cerebral and very technical, insolvency is a very technical area, he has actually come from there. And as you can see with his background, he's built a business around making your bits tingle. So I'm so fascinated to hear the story, and I'm sure you are too, about how you can go from what's a very cerebral and dry business insolvency career and path all the way through to working in and having as your focus, how can I make your bits tingle? So welcome, Andrew, and please share with everybody a little bit more about your journey to making your bits tingle.
Sure. Yeah, and obviously there's a lot in there which we'll try and get in. But I mean the insolvency arena. So yes, I'm an accountant underneath. So yes, absolutely, as you say, very logical, very thinking based, sort of mathematician by education as well. So all the hard stuff. But actually, on top of that, the insolvency arena is also very commercial. You're running businesses and having to do decisions on the fly, make quick commercial decisions all the time. So the industry is also very commercial as well. So it's a much more hands-on running businesses live as you go kind of thing. So you're getting a nice sort of blend going on. And I mean, so the twofold thing coming from that is that on my level, I'm getting loads of experience in terms of business, but also at the same time working with people who are in very difficult situations, business owners who are watching everything they've built collapse in front of their eyes, all their emotions and loves got into this thing and they're watching it die. You're working with employees that are potentially at risk of losing their jobs. You've got suppliers that owed loads of money and you're trying to get them on board and keep supplying you even though they're not going to get paid. A lot of people in stressful situations. And I had to have sort of certain barriers up to be able to make sure it didn't impact on me. So you've got to have these sort of defenses to keep going. But then I got to a point where I suddenly realized that actually I wasn't enjoying what I was doing anymore. In fact, I'd fallen into it. It was never something I pursued. I just done it. And I've got a job. I'll follow the job. I'll just go to the next step. And I just had one of those moments when I was like, oh, hang on. No, I don't want to be here. And it took me a while to find out what I did want to do. But ultimately moved into, because through the leadership and the personal development that was coming up in the firm, moved into coaching. And I started off niching specifically in helping business owners that were going through the insolvency process, but deal with the emotional stress that goes with it. So now I'm bringing in sort of personal sort of mindset stuff and going quite deep into some sort of very traumatic situations with deep down, all this kind of stuff. So I've got the personal stuff, the business stuff, all this stuff going. So great experience. So yeah, so I stepped out, set up my own business and coaching practice, that sort of stuff, wrote books in that arena. What was interesting is that I'd come from this protected environment and found myself getting stressed and doing well in the practice, but not feeling good about it. Then you step out into your own business, run your own thing, create your own, whatever you want it to do. And I was still finding myself getting stressed, but for completely different things. So now I'm there's nowhere to hide. I'm suddenly, all my flaws and my issues and things are being thrown up. I'm suddenly have to sell, which I've never had to sell before, and people saying no to me, and I'm getting rejected. All this sort of stuff's going on. It's like, yeah. So I then had to start thinking about myself very closely. So and then the people I'm working with is that they are doing quite well in their business. Some of these people as well. I shifted from working with people in insolvency to people just doing well. The small business owners, and then meeting people doing incredibly well. So millionaires, successful people. And the common thread through all of them was that nobody was blissfully happy. It's like, I've got some incredibly successful people here, and they're on medication because they're being treated for stress, anxiety, and even depression. And it's like, hang on a sec. Employment, I'm not getting enjoyment. I step out and do what I think is the right thing, and suddenly I'm getting freaked out. I mean, everybody else, even incredibly successful people, and they're not really enjoying it. It's like, what's going on? This isn't, something's not right here somewhere. And that's where the inkling and the concept of business enjoyment comes from. And ultimately, we should be enjoying what we do. And we love the thing at the center of it, but it's all the stuff that goes around it. And it's taken me a long while to work on myself, work on what's right, all these sort of things. But ultimately, you need to have the right mindsets in place. Exactly, that's everything you talk about. And also this sort of sense of, why am I doing it and who am I doing it for? This sort of sense of purpose. And it's a phrase that's bandied around a lot, but I don't think people really get to understand. We've got to find ourselves. But when you get fully connected with something that really means something to you, it doesn't have to be life-changing, but you are doing something that really means something, that connects to something in here, then that is when everything like shifts and changes. And that's the point where you move into this phase where, yeah, I'm enjoying my business so much, it makes my bits tingle. That's a
wow.
very entire life, 10 years crammed in the phone. Yeah.
I love it, and thank you again, because it is hard, and I think you did it so well to actually condense that journey, and I did hear the journey involved in all of that, because the roles and the work that you were doing as in the insolvency would have been really important. But yes, I can hear the overwhelming amount of emotion behind the people that you're working with, all the way through to finding that actually, hey, when I'm working with people at the other end of the spectrum, the super millionaires and stuff, there's just as much emotion there. And so whatever pathway that you kind of walked down, it was all converging on this, helping you to then look at your own emotions. And that's a beautiful way and a beautiful arc for you to have come to your own understanding about, well, it's about enjoyment, whatever end of the spectrum you're at with success. And
in a lot of aspects, in terms of how we relate to our businesses, and even in things like, you called me earlier on a business coach, these things as kind of boxes and context, which I don't really subscribe to, if that makes sense. So yes, it's fine. That's what business coaches I fit into, successful, failure we fit into, but we're people at the end of the day, and all these things are just contexts in which we slot into. And a lot of what we're trying to do is understand ourselves so that we can relate or interact with the context within which we find ourselves in a much more satisfactory and better way. So it kind of doesn't matter where you are. This is why, this is what I mean. The person that's lost everything to the person that's got everything. These are just contexts. At the heart of it is a human being.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more. I find it very interesting that you do need to use labels like business coach so that people can then kind of have a relatability factor. But actually what you are is an advisor, a mentor, all of those different things in one, because you're working and walking with the person with something that's very dear to their heart, their business or their life or their careers. Out of this incredible range of, going on the human experience journey, if I call it that rather than the label of the form it takes that you're doing, but that human experience journey, you've got a very deep insight then to the human psyche and motivation. what then, I'm sure people are fascinated by this, what then is it that you would define as success in your life?
I always think of success as it's one of those things that we've kind of got to come from that place. I'm sure there's lots of people on your show that talked about it, but in terms of goals and that kind of thing. But there's a lot of stuff where we think we need to get to a certain situation, and then when we get here, then we'll be good. But actually, you've got to sort of step back and find who you are and get comfortable with your own situation. So actually, success is a place to come from. Which is a hard concept to get, but you just got to be comfortable where you are and build a rock. So if I try and use a metaphor to expand it, if you were to build a castle, let me ask you a question, Michelle. If you were to build a castle and that castle were made from sand, what would you have?
A very transient castle that wouldn't be very strong.
No trick question. Castle made of sand, what would you call it?
A sand castle.
Hey, exactly. So no trick. So if you're building a business, if you're building a life, whatever it is, and it's based from a place of fear and scarcity and not quite there yet, and uncertainty and pain or whatever it might be, then you're going to create a life or a business with those things in place. You're going to build a sandcastle out of sand. So you've got to come from a place where you feel good and comfortable within yourself and successful just every day by just getting up, if that's, but just feeling good within yourself. So then you will build something that's good because it's inherent in the bricks within what you create.
I love that. A lot of the training I've done in this space as well, it talks a lot about building those foundations. And that's why I'm so passionate about the mindset space, because the mindset is around those foundations. It doesn't matter if your castle is made of gold or of sand. If in your mindset you actually go, well, this is perfect for me in this moment, then it's perfect for you in that moment. And you may be down the beach building a sandcastle, so it's perfect for you in that moment. But in a different situation, in a different space, I'm always think about the three little pigs with, the twigs and the hail and the stones and the rocks, because they're great analogies of, where do you build your mindset around creating success in your life. And I never believe that anything is necessarily all right or all wrong. There is that in between, because like the sandcastle at the beach, it has a time and place. So the three pigs, you might build it out of twigs because you're in an eco rainforest kind of thing. So the time and place can actually match with that.
Yeah, exactly.
We digress a little bit from mindset.
That's what it's all about, isn't it?
And I'm sure that with this incredible background that you have, people would also be fascinated by what sort of tips around building this inner sense of success, whatever you're doing and whatever activities you're doing in your business, how can they create that sense of enjoyment every day and in every moment?
Yeah, and it's an element of putting some things in place to, well, I often talk about the what I aim to do is accentuate the positive and eliminate the negative sort of things, if you know the song. And so we've got to put the things in place that give us those foundations that you're talking about, but then also there's something over and above that we need to give ourselves the extra tingle, so to speak. And I mean, I use Maslow as one of my sort of bases as a construct, which I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with. If not, I'll point you in the direction of where to go. But essentially, we've got to feel safe in the first instance. Now, and this is the key thing: feeling safe and being safe are two different things. This is where you can have somebody with multi-million pounds, but they're still not feeling safe within the sales, so they're still pushing for that extra dollar, extra new next business, next million, whatever it might be. And safety is there's financial safety, there's our mental health, there's our physical health, there's our network, all the things that you've sort of touched on in terms of who we are. So we've got to find a point. What does it mean for me to feel safe? That's the important thing. You can have no money at all and be the richest person on the planet. And it's just getting to that set of where do I need to be to just feel comfortable in myself, that I know what I'm okay. I'm okay. My people around me okay. And there isn't an answer to it. It's not like, here you go. It's just go to the local shop and it's there in the corner. You've just got to find your place where you're comfortable. And the truth of the matter is it's always going to be a lot lower than you think it is. Certainly financially, we've got these perceptions that we need to be earning loads and loads and loads to be comfortable. Actually, it's always going to be a lot lower than we think.
And you only safety, sorry, I was just going to say safety is another interesting thing with Maslow, especially now with COVID happening worldwide. So there's also that element of external factors that you have no control over. So it's a great way of looking at what you're talking about with Maslow and that internal safety, because building that sense of internal safety, no matter what's happening within the world, can actually be the thing that means that each day you're either getting up and being anxious, or each day you're getting up and being excited about the day.
And I'll be honest, I've enjoyed lockdown. Sorry, but I have. And I run lots of groups, and COVID has been a discussion around a lot of it, because these are the things we use as our context. And then my view is, look, I'm going to look after me. First thing, make sure I'm okay. If there's people out there not following the rules, that's their call, but I can look after me. I can make sure that the people closest to me, we're okay as well. And the people out there I can't control. So focus on myself, make sure I'm okay, make sure that the people I can influence are as best as they can be, and then get on with the day. And not worry, exactly as you said, don't worry about the stuff you can't control, but you can influence and put things in place to protect yourself. And I've not had any problem at all in terms of how I feel about going out and about and all that kind of thing. It's just like, well, I'll be sensible. I'll assume. I always remember this, my dad told me when I was learning to drive, it's the same principle when you're driving. Assume everybody else on the road is an idiot, and you'll be okay. It's like, will that car come out of that side street? It might do, so I'll just be wary of it. What's going to happen is this person suddenly going to run out in front of me. They might be, so I'll just be wary. So I'll look after myself, assume everyone else is an idiot, and when I'll make my way through okay.
Isn't it funny what our parents give us as the funny little sayings that I'm sure they got from their parents as well, around, just those life lessons of, taking care of yourself, and in that very funny way, actually building up that resilience inside as well, of that mental thing of, well, as long as you're doing the right thing by you and taking care of you, then, that focus on your internal world is really very, very important.
So, yeah. So the second tip, next thing would be, and the next level up is, within the space of find your tribe is important. So you want to be working with people that get your clients, you want to love working with them. They want to be people that appreciate you, respect you, that have the same values of you. Your team around you need to be fitting with you as well. So, when you're working with bad clients, when you're working with a team that's not, on board with you, it's frustrating, it's annoying, it's whatever it is. But the key thing here is, in order to do that, this is where we have to drop the shield that I was talking about before. My challenge was the shield I built up was so strong, I couldn't actually drop it. So I had to work on working out how to do that and prepare to be more vulnerable. And then here comes the key thing, is when you're more vulnerable, you've got to be ready for the rejection. And rejection is a key part of being out there. And rather than avoiding it, we've just got to go, it's going to happen. We'll be okay with it. And in fact, a lot of marketing is about creating divisions and being different to other people. So it's going to have to create a body of people that don't agree with you, that can have a different opinion. But rejection was a big issue for me, and it took me a long time to get comfortable with that sense. But I will give you a line which I came up with. Can't remember where it came from. Thing is, doesn't matter what you do, doesn't matter what you try, there will always be somebody out there that will stab you in the heart and then blame you for getting their knife dirty. The truth is, it doesn't kill you, and the secret is, keep opening up your heart.
Oh, that's beautiful. A bit extreme, but
well, it originally came from
the knife in the back, but not the knife in the heart. That's
it started from the back, to be honest. That was the original quote, and then I thought, well, actually, people do it to your face, to be honest. I mean, we've been let down by so many people in our past. You know, people have betrayed. It's in the face when it happens, to be honest. And I'm talking metaphorically, not literally. Let's be clear on that.
I've heard something similar, but not quite as extreme, perhaps. But and again, I can't remember exactly who said this, but they essentially said that there's one thing that you can guarantee in life is that the people you meet will be doing 100% to take care of themselves. So similar with the knife in the heart thing, what may feel like and look like a knife in the heart is actually that person taking care of themselves. Yeah. So it may actually be nothing at all to do with you. It may be completely and utterly to do with where that person is at. And I know that I've used that a lot with clients where they've taken things quite personally. And it is hard when you open up your heart and then it gets squashed or knifed or whatever, to kind of work through that. But I think that that's a really important part of that, to then remember that it might not be as personal as you think it is. It's really actually that other person taking care of themselves.
Absolutely. And just to throw a few little books and things in, and you maybe think the 4 Agreements is a great book. One of those things is don't take things personally, for everything you've just said there. So it's some great little thoughts and insights if you need some support. That's a really good book. And yeah, another angle that someone came up with, similar sort of thing, is that everybody does their best with the level of thinking they have at the time, which means no one's out there to deliberately upset you and trip you up. It's just where their mindset is, what their thoughts are going on at the time. And we can't get angry at the way they behave, because for the way they behaved is absolutely logical and sensible and the right thing to do. We can help them at some point in terms, maybe with their thinking. And that's a lot of what we do, is change the way we think, move to a higher level, what it might be. But everybody's taking sensible actions based on what they think is right at the time. And
going back to what we've been talking about as an underlying part of that as well, a lot of people act out of the fear. So it's where they are and what they know and the best thing they can do at that moment in time, but it's also coming from that fear space. And that's where the mindset work and the habits and the things that we talk about on the show is to really help people to understand that they can and they do have the power to change that, to move from the fear into more expansive or tingly bits, as you would call them.
So yeah, and then the next level up is moving through is inner confidence. And this is always a fun one for people. So we can have the external confidence, which is in the business sense, is people just saying good things about us and repeat business and referrals and all this kind of stuff. But internally, are we saying good things about ourselves? And this space, we've got imposter syndrome and these sort of things. But one of the key things is perfectionism. And so what my other tip here is to develop an experimental mindset in business, in which, in other words, you are going to get things wrong. Things aren't going to work. And in fact, nothing's perfect. So just get stuff going and move on, but expect things not to work. So actually what you want to do, we've talked, there's a common phrase about celebrate your successes, and we often forget to take that moment to really appreciate what we've done, which we absolutely need to do. But the flip side is we should celebrate our failures, because when we celebrate our failures, we now have an opportunity to learn. We've now got an opportunity to get things better. We've now got an opportunity to get better and be better. And that's something to celebrate.
I wholeheartedly agree. That whole celebrating, I always use with my clients the example of when you watch little children learning how to walk and they fall over and they fall over and they fall over. And I explain to them, when the child falls over, they don't tell them off and tell them stupid and this and that. And if they relate that to themselves, when they make a mistake in business and when they fall over in business, all of that negative adult talk that they typically will do to themselves is just like talking to that little child in a negative way, instead of going, okay, you can do it, you can do it. And then the child, even today, I was thinking back to at university, for example, you might study a textbook for 3 months before you finish that textbook. But I was thinking how funny it is as an adult that you'll think that you'll finish it within a couple of weeks and then be an expert on that textbook. And so you forget that you actually had that time and space, like the child learning to walk. And I think a lot of what we do in these type of work is actually help people to remember to be kind to themselves, and that, like that child, you need to have that internal self-talk, like you're explaining, to actually support you and to move through things.
I mean, aren't we just the worst bosses to ourselves, the worst parents to ourselves? We'd say things to ourselves we would never say to another human being. And yet we think it's okay to sort of, you know, whip ourselves into a frenzy of despair and depression. It's sort of...
I know, it's very sad, isn't it?
But yeah, and it's just getting into that habit of, as exactly as you say, that nurturing space for yourself. And it's like, great, this, and so this is, so expect things to go wrong, not in a mindset, oh, I'm going to fail type thing, but in case of, hey, it's not going to be perfect. That's brilliant. That's fine, because I get to learn. Let's look forward. Where are the things I can improve? What's the next step? Let's throw this out. Let's give that a go. Okay, that didn't work. So let's try this now, move it on. And it's just that we've got to go through the 100 failures, as Edison said, before we get to the one that works and all the rest of it. So it's fine. We have so much pressure on ourselves to get it right first time. We don't release that blog, we don't release that course or whatever it is, because it's, oh, it's not quite right yet. Hang on a sec. Let me go and study for another 6 months on and get qualified so I can justify why I'm just doing the stuff I already know, you know. All this stuff.
I know, it comes back nicely to what we talked about at the beginning, about that human condition, and taking away the labels and the expectations, and that's what I love about the work that you do, with the looking at the human journey and the emotions, and supporting people through that journey, whatever end of business or whatever situation they're in. So if people were wanting to get hold of you and to find out more and to talk, because this is a fascinating discussion, if they were wanting to talk to you some more about it, what's the best way of getting hold of you?
Yeah, well, if you remember the words business and enjoyment, which I'm hoping are 2 words that you can remember, you just stick them in Google, I will probably come up. My website is businessenjoyment.com. Who'd have thought? And my contact details are on there. And also, if you want to know more about the stuff, I've just very quickly gone through some of the key things within the business enjoyment model. There's a pop-up that will appear. You can get access to my book, which is called More Than Just Money. And it goes through the business enjoyment model, goes into more detail of what it actually means to make your bits tingle. There's some extra layers which you haven't gone into. And also how you can use the model to find a solution to pretty much any problem you're facing.
So wonderful. What generosity, and what great insights as well into how to shift if you're stuck from where you are to where you want to be. And just to finish up then, what type of advice, given that we've talked about that human condition, what would you say to a younger version of you?
Well, one thing that cropped up as we were talking is it's very off-piece, but I would say start doing yoga at a very young age. I'm a rugby player by background. I've knackered my knees up and come into yoga late, and it's like I wish I'd be more flexible. And but the disciplines of yoga as well, with the breathing and all that kind of stuff, and gets you more into the sort of the spiritual stuff. So that's one specific thing. But beyond that, I wouldn't actually suggest any changes. I would say keep going. The thing about finding your purpose and your path and whatever it is it unfolds itself. And everything I've done, everywhere I've been, every mistake, every bad situation I've been in, they've all led me to where I am now, and I'm good with where I am now. So just keep going, you'll be right.
I love that. And I love that celebration of who you are and where you're at now. I think that's really powerful, because that accepts that everything that happened in your past is part of creating the fabulous you that you are now. So thank you so much. I really feel like we could talk for hours on this, but
we could.
So much for your time today, Andrew. It's been such a gift, and I hope that everybody watching, and please reach out, businessenjoyment.com, if you want to connect and hear some more from them. But for the moment, thank you so much for coming on the show today, Andrew.
Thank you very much. It's good to be on, and yeah, great to catch up again. Thank you.
Fabulous. And for the moment, to everybody watching, I hope you've enjoyed this week's show, and I look forward so much to seeing you again next week. But for the moment, from my heart to your heart, be great, be fabulous, and be you.